and welcome to your College Advisement session, class of 2018. We're going to begin this presentation by inviting our college and career counselor, Mrs. Hawkins, to talk about the services she offers and make sure that you're aware of the resource she has.
Okay. So
Just right here's fine.
Okay.
Right here's fine.
My job is to help and add to everything that the counselors need here, but also to set up events and to talk to the students here. So one of my busiest times of year is in the fall when I start setting up college visits for all of you and also for the underclassmen as well. I even invite 9th and 10th graders to attend as well as juniors, but especially seniors. So far this year, I have over 50 colleges coming already, and I have posted those college visits on Naviance, on the Family Connection page, on my bulletin, my calendar, and the college visit pages of the Oak Park High School website. So, and I also list them outside on the whiteboard. They start next week. UC Berkeley will be here and will answer questions for you if you have questions about the UC application. UC Merced and UC Santa Barbara are also already scheduled, but a lot of the other UC campuses will be sending admissions counselors too, but those are good sources for you to use for when you have questions about the UC application. I don't have a Cal State application workshop scheduled yet, but I will have that, and that will be posted, so pay attention for that. As you may know, I offer 4 times a day for college visits, 8 in the morning before school, 10 nutrition, lunch, and 7th period. If you have a 0 period class, or if you are busy during one of those other times with a makeup exam or a review session, please stop by to at least introduce yourself to the admissions counselor, because generally about 90 or 95% of those admissions counselors are the ones who will be reading your application. So obviously they're really important people to meet, even if you have been to that college campus and met that person there. If that person comes to our school, to our home, it is appropriate and important for you to come and at least welcome that person to our school, and if you have time to stay for the visit. I also have scheduled, along with Calabasas and Agora, an event. Last year it was called College and Career. We're going back to calling it College Knowledge Night. It's scheduled at Agora this year. The 3 high schools take turns hosting the event. Agora is going to host it this year. It's October 4th. It's early enough in the fall so that it's appropriate for you to attend. There are almost 20 workshops, and many topics are of interest even for seniors. We have a financial aid workshop scheduled in here in G9 on October 24th. Let your family, your parents, your family members know about that. And speaking of letting your family know, last night I mentioned that I was going to have a Naviance workshop for adult members of your family, adult members of the senior class of 2018 at 8:30 till 10 tomorrow morning in the College and Career Center. I sent out an Naviance email, but please remind them to come if they're so inclined, and stop by if you have questions.
Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Hawkins. And I want to put in a plug for her as well. Not only is she a resource, she does this 24/7. She goes out and visits colleges, so she can help you get the flavor of a school and the culture of a school. She's very knowledgeable. And furthermore, she's the scholarship lady. In case you weren't aware of this, any of the local organizations that sponsor scholarships, from Westlake Women's Auxiliary to Canal Valley Realtors to you name it. I could name hundreds of them. All of their scholarships go to her. She will have them available in the College and Career Center. They'll be part of the emails that she sends out to say, hey, come in and apply. She even has a scholarship application workshop she puts on. So you want to get to know this lady. You definitely want to get to know her. Okay, so one thing I want to start with, again, coming back to this page so you know how to get where we are from the Oak Park homepage, class of 2018. Everything I'm talking about today is going to come directly from this page. First thing that's there are dates. Everything from when the Common App and the UC application opened up on August 1st, all the way to May 1st, which is the national commitment deadline. So the process has begun. You've been working on your tasks, you've been researching, and then now that school is resumed, it's time to start seriously be moving ahead with the process of beginning to work on your applications as necessary, asking teachers and counselors for recommendations, ordering transcripts, sending test scores, all of that stuff. It begins now. And this meeting is kind of we just shot off the gun at the beginning of the race, and now it's really starting. We are here to support you. We know that it's a stressful time. I've been doing this for 21 years, though. I can help. I have a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience, and I'm happy to share that with you. I'm happy to be your advocate with these colleges. I just ask you to meet me halfway by following the procedures. Do your Naviance tasks, schedule your meeting, come prepared to that meeting. We will have a really positive experience, and we can work through whatever issues need to be worked through as time goes by. And again, just to give you a flow of the senior year, it begins with now the college application process. Depending on your application deadlines, some of them start very early as October 15th. Some go clear until May. So you'll be picking those deadlines and confirming them when you have your meeting with me, or for a few of you who are with other counselors, you'll be having your meetings with them, confirming those deadlines. And then you submit the applications, and then you start to hear back from schools. For the early action, early decision schools, you start to hear back as early as December. For other schools, you may not hear until March, April, or potentially even later. But for the most part, you will have heard by the time spring break rolls around. And spring break is your key time to go and visit the schools who've offered you admission. Because although it's not really necessary that you've personally visited every college that you're applying to, you definitely should visit a school before you actually commit to attend. And so whether you can fit that in over your Thanksgiving or holiday break in December or January, you definitely should go perhaps in the spring, during spring break, to go and visit that campus. And all the colleges know this. They all have preview days and open houses and tours going on. So that's kind of the cycle. And then May 1st rolls around and it's gut check time. Have to make a decision on which of these schools. And for a lot of students, you're kind of up in the air. Well, okay, I didn't get into my first, second, or third choice school, but should I go someplace I'm not really happy about, or should I start considering a community college? My honest to God feedback is, if you're not committed to going to the university that has admitted you and staying there for 4 years and getting your bachelor's degree from that school, go to a community college. And I want to make a point on this right now. There's an urban legend or myth out there that, yeah, okay, well, I'll go to Cal State such and such for a couple of years and then I'll transfer. And no, that is not a strategy. It's talked about as if it's a thing, but it is not a strategy, and I'll explain why. If you go to a university, spend a year or 2 years, and then want to try and transfer to another university later, you're going to go into their counseling office and say, so I'm planning to transfer to so-and-so. Who can I talk to? They're going to go, we don't do that. That's not a service we offer to students to help them transfer out. We have a whole office down the hall here that handles transfers in from community colleges. And likewise, when you go to talk or communicate with the university you're trying to transfer to, they're going to say, so what community college are you coming from? None. I'm coming from U of whatever. And they're going to go, okay, we'll submit your application, we'll take a look at your transcript and see what we can do with you. Here's the subtext of that. University to university, they do not articulate their curriculum with each other. Not even Cal State to Cal State, not even UC to UC. Once you're into that university, they have their own program of how you get to a bachelor's degree. They don't spend time figuring out whether their class is going to transfer to this school. That's what community colleges do. That's their business. That's their stock and trade. They aggressively work on making sure their classes will transfer. When I have former students of mine contact me after they've been away for a year or two and say, okay, I didn't take your advice, Mr. McLelland, I see now I'm not really happy at this university, and I'm throwing up my hands because nobody wants to talk to me. Yeah, I tried to tell you that, but you felt the peer pressure or the parental pressure that you got to go to a four-year university. So what should I do? I said, you should come home and go to Moore Park. Even now, after you've been out at a university, you should come back, go to a community college, and then transfer. Because they will then package you in a transferable way to a university. So I bring that up in the context of the May 1st national commitment deadline, because if you're not committed to that school and ready to commit to 4 years, you become, again, a good friend of Mrs. Hawkins. She will be bringing community colleges out to visit us in the spring. She actually takes a field trip with a couple of buses out to Moore Park. She can help ease you into that transition to go to a community college if that's what you choose. But you don't have to know all that today. Right now, you guys are here because you're planning to apply to at least one or more four-year universities. So good. Play the process out. You have until May 1st to make the decision whether I want to go to one of those schools or whether I should look at the community college option. So you have until May 1st. All right. Let's talk briefly about your transcripts. We always provide our seniors a transcript for several reasons. For your reference, because it's easier to read this when you're filling out your college applications than it is to try and read Q. So literally, this is what is known as an initial transcript. Let me say that again. This is what's known as an initial transcript. Another term you may hear is a sixth semester transcript because it has your grades through the end of your junior year. And you'll notice it has work in progress. So it has all the classes that are currently scheduled for you. And then it has 3 different GPAs, which I'll talk about in a second. It's important to know this because I have a lot of students who will say, okay, I've applied, but you know, that AP English class or that stat class or that whatever class is really proven too hard. It's going to pull my GPA. I want to drop that class, Mr. Clown. Can I do it? And I said, yeah, you don't need it necessarily for graduation, but your colleges have already been notified that you have that class on your schedule. Now, whether you chose not to disclose it or not, it's on the transcript we send them. So you then have to be accountable for notifying those schools, oh yeah, I'm not going to finish that class. I need to let you know I'm withdrawing from it at the semester. Or, I'd like to believe that this won't happen, but it does just happen to some students, you end up getting a D. You have to be the one to notify the schools and let them know, hey, I got a D in this class. How does that affect me now? And talk to them and determine whether that's a deal breaker or not, or whether they have some options for you. For a lot of students who are right on the borderline of getting a C minus D, I think I can still hold it together, but I still want to drop the class. My answer is always, you've got to contact the school first, because if this has already been reported to them, you need to hear their feedback as to whether or not this is going to be a deal breaker or not. So the other thing you should know about your transcript, you notice we don't disclose class rank. We don't do that because this is an elite school. And if you were to poll all the elite private prep schools in the country, none of them disclose a class rank either. Because frankly, at Oak Park High School, having a 4.0 GPA doesn't even put you in the top 10%. So we would actually be doing harm to you if we disclosed a class rank. So wherever possible, we just say, sorry, we're a non-ranking school. So in the applications, when it asks you that question, either leave it blank, or if the application demands something, put a 0 or NA in there, because we don't rank. And that's also what we'll be putting in when we provide documentation to them. Your GPA, for everything but UCs and Cal States. So for any schools besides UCs and Cal States, the GPA you quote to them is your unweighted GPA, because that is Oak Park High School's GPA. We do not have a weighted GPA at Oak Park High School. So even though you're going, but my weighted GPA is higher, I want them to see that, they're going to know, because the transcript says, no, that's your UC GPA. It's not your Oak Park High School GPA. But it doesn't hurt you. It's only the University of California and Cal State universities that use this weighted GPA formula. Every other university out there cares about rigor. They just don't put that point value in the GPA. So if you want to learn a little more about that, it was one of the tasks that I assigned to you, but if you haven't read it yet, there's a section here called GPA and class rank, and just go to this link, and it explains the whole history behind why Oak Park High School is an unweighted grade, point average school, all the different entities and other schools, and evidence that, when Princeton or USC discloses, what's the average GPA of kids getting, it's capped at 4.0. So GPA, it's not just who has the highest GPA gets in. They're sophisticated enough to look at your transcript and say, you took a lot of AP and honors classes, and even though your GPA is technically lower than a kid who took less and got higher grades in CP, they see that, and they have another way of evaluating it. The UCs and GPAs put a value on honors and AP, and it's reflected in their GPA. But remember, only to UCs and Cal States would you quote that GPA. The other GPA on your transcript is called the Cal Grant. Many of you are applying to California schools. Many of you your families are going to want to see if you're eligible for a Cal Grant, which is free money. It's subsidized by tax dollars that you and your family have paid into. They have their own unique GPA formula, and so this is just letting you know if you apply for a Cal Grant, this will be the GPA that Ms. Randall, our registrar, has transmitted to the California Student Aid Commission, and it will be used to determine your eligibility for a Cal Grant. The last thing with transcripts is please double check it. Make sure that grades and credits are posted accurately. You should do the same thing I'll be doing. Look at the graduation requirements section, see what's complete, what shows still required, and are the classes you taking going to clear those requirements? So that when you say, yep, that'll clear that, that'll make sure that this ends up at 0, that I'm going to meet all my requirements. So you should be double checking this as well. All right. With respect to transcripts, most of you are going to order your first set of transcripts when you have your meeting with me. And we'll fill this form out together, and I will help you look up whether it's an electronic or it needs to be mailed, etc. And I will also sign it. So your very first transcript order requires my signature. So the form I'm holding up here is this one. And you'll be required to know whether it can be sent electronically or whether it needs to be mailed. Or in some cases, there are lots of scholarships and other organizations that they want you to have a PDF document. University of Texas does this. They actually allow you to upload your own transcript, but you have to order a PDF document. So you can order that as well. This is the form you would use for any transcript orders, whether it's for the NCAA or for a military academy or for colleges. And you fill this out as many times as you need transcripts. You'll indicate, is it an initial, a mid-year, or a final? Initial is this transcript, the one that has your grades through the end of junior year. Mid-year is the transcript that we will generate in January after first semester grades are posted. And if some schools ask you, which some of them will, you'll order another round of transcripts for mid-years. And then last but not least, final transcript. Most students order at least 2 of those. One for your personal records and one for the college that you're attending. So that's the business with these transcripts. If you don't procrastinate to the last minute, we just charge $5 for them. But if you walk in and say, I have to have it today, they're going to charge you $20 for it. All right. So now let's move forward and let's talk about the key application features. Basically, most of the college applications can fit into two broad categories. One category is the University of Cal State University systems. The UC has its own portal that you can apply to all 9 UCs with. The UCs have the Cal States have their own CSU Mentor that you can apply to all 23 Cal States with. So if you want to see that and read more, whoops, that's the wrong link, and see this, there's more information on our webpage about the difference between the two school systems and their applications. But the one thing these two systems both use in common is the A to G requirements. Who knows what A to G stands for? A few little tentative hands going up. Okay, you do kind of need to know what A to G stands for. If you're sitting here going, I think I've heard that somewhere, but A to G is this pattern of courses that the University of California requires for admission. So those are the A to G requirements. And then we had to submit our classes at Oak Park High School to the Office of the President of the University of California to get them approved to be called CP, meaning college prep. When you log into your UC and Cal State applications, those will already know. Once you accurately identify Oak Park High School as your high school and what years you attended, it'll populate out and say, here are the classes that were available to you in the History Social Science category. Here are the classes that are available to you in English, etc., etc. Now, your other schools won't be synced up with the UC and CSU A to G. You'll have to hand type them in and or rely on the transcript to communicate that to them. But the other thing about A to G is it's a pretty standard pattern of admission requirements that most major universities use. There are nuances depending on how competitive a certain school is, but if you've been working towards completing these requirements, you've put yourself in a position to be competitive for hundreds upon hundreds of public and private universities. So that's the story behind A to G. So A to G approval means that's why we call a CAF CP or higher. Senior. Coming back to the web page. And then the rest of the schools that you'll be applying to that are outside of the UCs and Cal States are the private, independent, and out-of-state schools. Now, at least 700 plus of these other schools use a thing called the Common App. How many of you know you're going to be applying to a Common App school already? So, there you go. It's a thing. It's a big deal. Common App is something you need to become very familiar with. If you want to read more about the nuances of private, independent, and out-of-state schools and how hard it is to get into certain highly selective schools, take advantage of this website. But with respect to the Common Application, you do need to create an account for yourself and match it so it syncs up with your Naviance account. So the way you do that, and I'm going to demonstrate that. I have my own fake Common App student account. So you'll create your own account, and then you'll have a dashboard of schools. And when you move over to the My Colleges tab, you can then activate information about each of these schools. So let me go to USC, because that's a very popular school. When you're in the My Colleges tab, you can see application fees, what tests they require. Letters of recommendation, teacher, counselor, transcripts. Let me point something out. I wish the Common App would be more descriptive. When it says school report, I don't know if you can read it because the print's really tiny. School report is a form that I, as your counselor, fill out for you. It confirms your GPA, it confirms statistics about our school, and then and that we don't rank, etc., how many AP and honors courses we offer at our school. And then I also attach a copy of our school profile. And then I also upload your transcript. So I frequently get questions from parents mostly, but sometimes from kids, Mr. McLelland, I can't see where you've ever sent my transcript. And I will take you back to your Common App account and point out, it says your school report has been submitted. Your transcript is in there. So please know, school report received at the Common App, your initial transcript was included with that. Now, from the same screen, there is this Recommenders and FERPA. FERPA stands for the Family Education Rights Privacy Act. It means that legally you have the right to review your letters of recommendation and choose not to waive that right. But if you read this second point here, it makes it very clear. Waiving your right lets colleges know that you do not intend to read your recommendations, which helps reassure colleges that letters are candid and truthful. Some recommenders may refuse to write a letter for you unless you waive your rights. Check with your counselor or teachers to see if any of them follow such a policy. I do. 99% of our teachers do. So if you demand or require that you have to critique or read that letter, you're going to have to ask another counselor. And I'm already telling you, none of the other counselors will write you one if you have to critique it. And most of the teachers are going to feel the same way. But here's where the honesty and the trust part of this comes into play. I wouldn't agree to write you a letter and then turn around and torpedo you and say bad things. I'm only going to agree to write you a letter if I feel like I can support you and help you. And the teachers are the same way. And in all honesty, if you've approached a teacher or you're thinking about approaching a teacher and you didn't get a real good vibe, like, you really, you sure you don't have someone else, or it's been a while since we, if you get anything else other than, yeah, sure, fine, I'm happy to do it, just let me know when you need it, you want to say thanks. You don't want somebody that you had to twist their arm into writing a letter for you. So the point being is, once we agree to write you this letter, you have to trust us that if I agree to do that, I'm going to do my level best to help you. So that's why we ask you to waive your right. So you'll continue through, check the appropriate boxes, sign the electronic signature, and be done with the waiver. Now, just to take you back again, dashboard, my colleges, go to USC, and then click on the Recommenders and FERPA page. This page is a wealth of information. And I've, again, created fake student accounts, so I've used Ms. Charrett to be my fake counselor, and I can see she submitted a school report for me. She submitted her counselor recommendation. And down here, I had a teacher who submitted their evaluation for me. You will say that same information on your Common App account. So this is how you can keep track on the Common App side. And I'll show you in a second how you can keep track on the Navient side that documents have been submitted. Now, ultimately, once you have received or you have completed your application, you've written your essays and you've got your parents' credit card and you've paid your application fees, and once the Common App has acknowledged that all the documents have been received, then you'll be able to come back and see that instead of the documents just sitting here in the Common App cloud, and we say that again, they're just sitting in the cloud. The Common App is just collecting data, collecting documents. Once everything has been received, it will then send a transmission down to the school, and then the school will download, and you'll literally see the words, downloaded. And now you know they've got my application, and now they're reading it. But up until then, you're just a concept. You're just collecting data up here in the cloud. And that's true of all your applications. You're not real to them until you officially submit the information. Now, they do know when you've opened up an application, and even though you haven't submitted it, you will start receiving emails, hey, just a reminder, you said you're applying early, deadline's coming up. But they still don't know who you are. Just the fact that you got that email doesn't say, do they want me? Is that why they're emailing me? No, you just put their name on the list, and now they know you're a potential applicant, so they just want to remind you to finish the application. So, once you've done all that, then you're going to want to come back to your Common App account and match your account. Now, in my fake student account here, I've already matched it. But I'm hoping most of you have seen it's a big turquoise teal screen that says matching my Common App. You have to have completed the FERPA waiver and then come back and type in the same email address you used in the Common App and your date of birth, click match, and it will literally spin, talk to your Common App, and then you'll be synced. And your account will be matched, and then we can submit documents, transcripts, letters of rec, whatever they need, we can send them to them. Now, the next thing I want to show you on this screen, most of you should at this point be in the colleges I'm thinking about stage, but ready before you have your meeting with me to move these schools over to the active colleges I'm applying to screen. Because this is the business screen. This is where we actually work with your applications. So, several things to be aware of. School, how are you applying? Submissions. This set of icons, you see the little Common App icon, you see a blue screen. This is basically supposed to look like a canceled postage stamp. Anything that's got a blue computer screen means we, Oak Park High School, can submit whatever that school needs. Transcripts, letters of rec, electronically. If it's got a little red postage stamp, when you order transcripts or other documents, you have to provide us with a stamped, pre-addressed envelope so we can mail it to them. Now, for some schools, like just using these two options up here at the top of my list, Cal Lutheran, there's no option other than Common App. That's how they accept applications. Now, U of A, it's an option. So I could come back here and I could say, let me go direct to the institution. They've got their other in-house application that they potentially can use. And so it'll line out the Common App. We can still send documents to them, but it won't be through the Common App. But one thing you don't want to do is leave it, I'm not sure yet, because then there'll be a question mark and it will block us from sending anything. So it'll be critical when you have your meeting with me or with your counselor that this all has to be resolved. We need to know what application portal we're sending things through, because the worst thing that can happen is that we send all our documents one way and you changed your mind after our meeting and said, no, I think I'm going to apply this way. And then down the road, the school's saying, we never got your docs, and we're saying, we sent them. And then the deadlines come and go, and they're going to say, sucks to be you. Follow instructions. So please be clear with us on how you're applying. Now, let me be just very honest with you. Our teachers in particular are very comfortable with the Common App. Navient works beautifully with the Common App. If there's an option to apply Common App, please use it. A lot of students and parents get confused when they get like a direct email from a school that says, here, use this fast app, it's free, and yada yada. And so they assume, well, I guess I have to use that app. You actually don't. If they've offered you a free application through this little discounted application, they have to offer it to you free through the Common App as well. You would just have to ask for it. So just know that. When it comes to asking for letters of recommendation, there are several protocols. You want to talk to the teacher in person first. Get a read on them. If they say yes, I'm happy to write you a letter. There's all the steps. Then you come back to your Navient's account. Make sure that you have filled out a questionnaire for them. Make sure you've also uploaded a resume. Those are the things they want to see. Now, Mrs. Schulteis, for those of you who've had her know, she's got her own routine. So if you followed all those protocols in terms of the preparation for her, you're good to go, but you still have to formally request the letter in Navient's. So just because you filled out the resume and you did your service for her and you had your meeting and did all that, she's not going to send a thing until you officially request the letters through Navient's. So you'll click on this link, and it's going to pull over all of those colleges I'm applying to. And if I want to add a new request, I select my teacher. And I'm going to, again, I have another fake account for Mr. McLelland as a teacher. And remember, do not select all applications. Choose specific schools. The reason why you don't want to check all applications is because not all schools want letters. You're just going to annoy them. Case in point, University of California, none of the 9 campuses want a letter of rec as a part of the application. Cal State University, none of the 23 Cal States want a letter. If one gets sent, it goes, thank you, there's the recycle. They don't put resources into reading letters of recommendation. Now, if you get an invite from them, because Berkeley in particular and maybe a couple of other UCs have been potentially offering or inviting you to submit a letter, and you'll get a specific invite from them, and they'll say, please provide us the name and email address of the teacher you want to write this letter, and then they will send a link to them to submit the letter. But that's the only reason why you would ever need a letter for a UC or a Cal State. But you need to do your homework and figure out which of these schools need them. And once you've loaded them in here, Naviance kind of knows the answer to that. If you can read this, you can see whether they're required or not. Now, where Common App schools are involved, you can see because I've synced my fake account with Harvard. It knows that Harvard requires 2. They'll accept as many as 3. They allow 3. And that so far, I've requested 0. So you need to get busy, dude, if you're serious about applying to the school, and get those other teacher requests put in place. So when you're ready to add a school, let me go ahead and do this for Harvard to my fake teacher. And you select it, and then you type a little personal note to them. And you might also consider if there's a possibility you're going to apply for some private scholarships later on. You might say, by the way, in addition to writing a letter to these schools, would you be willing to write me a letter later on for scholarships? Say thank you, and then click submit. And then that request gets loaded not only on your page, it also gets loaded on your teacher's account. And you do have to do this for Mrs. Schulteis. Even though she's written the letter, she hasn't done anything with them until you submit this. And this is the other way you can watch to see if it's been submitted by the teacher. So I showed you how you could see it received on the Common App side. Here on the Navient side, you can see that it's been submitted. Okay. Any questions about the teacher recommendation request process? If you follow it, there's a little video here if you want to watch it. Yes?
If we have a letter of recommendation from a teacher who isn't hearing what Miss Allison, do we have to go through the Common App then, since she can't do it through Navient technically?
Here's the deal with Miss Allison. I've been in personal communication with her. She is okay, but you must have already talked to her. If you talked to her before she left and she said yes, you do everything the same. She's still in Navient. Yep, she's still in Navient. So she's still a drop-down, and she will get the upload, and she will upload it the same way she did when she was a regular teacher here. But if you're thinking about her today, she said, no, I can't do any more. Okay.
So just to be clear, for transcripts and school reports and like that stuff, the school handles that, or we have to put choose the colleges and apply to this.
Okay, back to the transcript ordering business. What will happen is when you schedule your appointment with your counselor, as part of that meeting, we're going to be coming back to this screen, and we're going to be talking in detail about all the colleges you're applying to. And we're going to be discussing, for example, I'll be coming back to your Common App and saying, all right, what does this school require? How many letters of rec? Do they need a mid-year transcript or not? We're going to make sure we're clear on all that. And then I'll literally, with you, fill out your first transcript order form, sign it, and then you can go and pay for it. Once you've gone through the first order with me and I've signed off on it, then you're on your own. Hopefully you now understand, okay, I need to come back. Does USC, are they a school that requires a mid-year transcript? Let's go to the My Colleges tab. Yep, there it is. So in January, you then have to be independent enough to come back and say, here's all the schools that I know I need to now order mid-year transcripts for. And you submit it. And likewise, later on, if you start applying for scholarships, because many scholarships require transcripts as well. And you'll have to find out, will they accept those electronically or do they need to be by paper? And you'll fill this form out accordingly. Now, just to clarify, right here on the form even is reproduced those little icons. So we expect you to go into your Naviance account to know, does this school accept electronic? And you'll write the name of the school on here and put ED for electronic delivery. Or if it's going to be a pre-addressed envelope, I put it in colon PA and then staple a copy of the stamped pre-addressed envelope. Or if I just want you, the registrar, to email me a PDF, you'll write PDF and she'll email it to you to the address you provide. So that's how your transcript orders will be taken care of. Okay. Let's talk about score reporting. Virtually all of these schools are going to require you to send test scores. There's two different things that I want to use. There's two terms I'm going to use. Self-report and send. In the applications, in every application, the Common App, the UC app, the Cal State app, the Coalition app, whatever it is, there will be some place where they ask you to self-report the test scores. But they're going to require you to also go back to the College Board and go back to the ACT and pay for a score report to be sent. That's going to be your obligation. Now, if you'll go to this link that I've created, there's a way to save a little bit of money because your parents are going to be the ones, wait, cha-ching for every application, cha-ching for every transcript, cha-ching for every score report. Wherever there's an opportunity to save some money, you should take advantage of it. The UCs, yes, you need to send score reports, but you can apply to all 9 UCs and only have to pay for one score report because those 9 schools can share that one score report. Cal States have a similar system, but you have to use a special code with the UC, or excuse me, with the Cal State, and the code is right here. And so when you're in the College Board website, say just send to 3594 as the school code, and that'll release it to all 23 Cal States. Now, the ACT has a similar way for the Cal States, but just read the instructions. There's a way to save your parents some money on score reports. You do not need to send AP scores now. All you do is self-report them in your application. But eventually, the one school, come May 1st, that you choose to attend and you commit to, that's the one school you will pay for score reports to, because that's how you get the college credit. But right now, you don't have to pay for any score reports there. Question that the parents asked last night that I think is a good question. When's the best time to send your score reports? I'd say 90% of the time, if you just order them the way you're supposed to, they'll go through. But there are some human aspects to the process. So, for example, if I'm a big major university and you decide I'm not going to apply to that university until January, but I decide to sit down today and release all my test scores, they've got no place to put those scores until January. And so when they come in on their electronic transmission, they just go on a big pile of unmatched test scores. And there's a human element that could potentially misplace or not file them in the appropriate application. So my advice that seems to have worked pretty well is when you're ready to hit submit on your application, so you're sitting there ready to submit, you got your mom or dad's credit card, ready to pay for the application fee, submit, then open up a new tab, go to the College Board or the ACT, open up and submit at the same time. So at the same time, submit the application, then go over, submit the test scores. That way, there's an application open and waiting for those test scores to come through to you. That's my advice. Some of you have very common last names. They occasionally may misfile those test score reports if you have a common last name that they could have accidentally put it in someone else's. So, and also, it's okay, even though there's all this paranoia about, internet security and you're protecting your personal information, the application websites are all secure websites. The College Board and the ACT are all secure websites. And the reason why I say you to this, go ahead and give them your social security number. because that's one of the matching criteria. If you're not the only Wayne or Woo or Vu in the world applying to that school, you may need another identifying criteria to match your documents. So the Social Security number is one of the things they can use. So it's okay to release your Social Security to College Board, ACT, into your college applications, just to make sure that documents are always synced up. Any questions about test scores? We'll talk more when I have my individual meetings, because sometimes the strategies about which test score should I send, is this school super score, we can have those conversations individually when we have our meeting with each other. Fast forward to the end of the process, and you've been waitlisted, or you've been denied, or you've been deferred. All of those things are disappointing. But there's a whole strategy, and you need to understand how colleges feel about those things. There's a whole page here that talks about the whole process of what does it mean to be deferred. Deferred in brief means you applied early, they're not ready to admit you yet, so they've deferred you to the regular action pool. That's not horrible. You were hoping to get in, but okay, you're getting another look, and hopefully maybe your first semester grades will help you. Then there's being waitlisted. That is kind of disappointing, but it's not a denial. It says they like you, they think you'd make a good student, but they just got too many students like you. And they're going to have to wait until after May 1st, and after they see how many kids accept their offers of admission, to see if their yield, that's the term they use, their yield has come in low. And if they come in low on the number of commits or acceptances of their offers, then they go back to their wait list. So pretty much with wait list, there's nothing other than just, yes, I agree to be on your wait list. Oftentimes I have students and parents, well, can I write a letter, or can I appeal my wait? No, you don't appeal. You haven't been denied yet. You've just been told you're on wait list. So you just have to decide whether I'm going to accept being put on the wait list or not. But what that means is you got to now go to your second or third choice school that you did get admitted to, because there's no guarantee. They're not going to get back to you by May 1st or even June 1st. They may go well into the summer before they decide to let you know the status of your wait list. So you then need to reorient your priorities and say, okay, this was the next best school in my priority list. Now let's consider seriously about going there. If June or July rolls around and that first choice school suddenly say, hey, guess what? We would like to offer you a spot off wait list. You can go back to the school whose offer you admitted and say, sorry, I just got admitted by this other school. And they'll say, fine, but oh, by the way, that deposit you had to put down when you said I'm accepting your offer, you're not getting that back. So that's how the game is played. You have to put down an initial deposit to confirm, yes, I'm accepting your offer. You're not going to get that money back, but they'll release you and let you go to the other school. And then there's the whole appeal process, and then some schools are okay with you. I mean, it's pretty okay if you got denied that you write a letter providing, a set of circumstances why you want to be considered for again. But mostly it has to be new information, not just please, 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 I really want to come to your school, I bleed UCLA, blue and gold. No, you need to provide new information to them that wasn't part of the original application. And you have to read the fine print. If they say no other outside letters, don't send them other outside letters, because they're just going to toss them. And they're going to say, yeah, that's a good appeal candidate, someone who can't follow instructions. So if they do allow or invite additional supporting documentation, you can come to me, you can come to your counselor or someone else who you feel like could offer new information. But I'm not just going to reprint my original letter. I'm going to say something new to try and support an appeal. But again, don't put all your eggs in that basket. Very small, single-digit percentage of appeals are ever upheld. You should really start orienting your priorities towards the schools that did admit you. Coming back to now the electronic application process. Your world is all electronic. Your applications are electronic. Please read this information. Every application website is an interactive website. It needs the ability to give responses to you when you click this option, which means if you've got the pop-up blocker turned on, you've disabled that application's ability to communicate with you. So you have to disable the pop-up blocker in the browser you're using. Likewise, if you know anything about cookies, they need to be able to drop cookies onto your browser so that they can continue to communicate and get information from you. So read this instructions. I mean, every application, if you actually take the time to watch the tutorial and read the instructions, they will give you instructions on what browsers work best and what level of browser works, and then what settings you need on that browser for it to work. So please follow that. And now let me talk about email. In the adult world, adults communicate with each other via email. We have Twitter accounts, we have Snapchat, we have Facebook, we know about all that stuff, but if I want to communicate with her, I send her an email. Same thing with colleges. They have Facebook and Snapchat and Twitter accounts just for promotional purposes, but if they want to communicate with you, they're going to send you an email. So you need to become proficient at managing your email accounts. And I'm here to tell you, because I live on email all day long, it's annoying, all the junk and the spam. So you have to get proficient with the email service that you use to know how to check the spam and the junk so you don't accidentally delete an important email. In case in point, a lot of college communications do get cycled into the junk or spam files because, you've got these windows. Thousands of students are applying to schools within a very narrow window, and they're sending out emails confirming we got your application. And because your email service recognizes it as a bulk email, it thinks this must be, some marketing ploy. So you need to then know, no, there's my UC confirmation, there's my Common App confirmation. I need to say not spam and save that, and then follow the instructions. If you have not done so already, please go to your Naviance account, and up here where it says Manage My Account, go to Manage My Profile, and down here under Email, click the little edit pencil and put in an email that you personally actually look at. And my recommendation is that should be the same email you use on your Common App, same email you use when you communicate with the colleges. It makes it easier if you have one email as opposed to multiples. So please do that, because you're going to get lots of emails from me, lots of emails from her. You don't want to be out of the loop. Every year I give this little speech in these meetings, and I always have one student. I hope none of you will be them. That student who just, Mr. McLelland, you said I was going to get an email confirming that my application, it's been a month now and I got no emails. And I always go, sit down. Let's log into your email, and I'll say, hey, look at your junk file. It has 6,000 items in it. Open it up. There's your freaking confirmation. You haven't been paying attention. Let's open it up. You missed the deadline to submit your documents. Please don't be that person. Check your emails religiously. Let me give you a routine to follow. As soon as you submit apply, you should be looking for an email within 24 to 48 hours. Find it, save it. Like create a little save file for it. Save those emails. Most of those emails are going to be giving you instructions on how to set up and maintain your student portal with that school. So eventually, whether you applied through the Common App or whether you applied through the UC or Cal State, you will eventually have individual portals with every school. Once you get that initial email to set up the portal, set it up. That may be the last time you hear from that school via email. At that point, they may do nothing but upload, hey, we're waiting on your transcript, or hey, guess what? We haven't received your test scores, or ding, application decision available. You have to be watching those portals. So my advice is check your email every single day. Save all the emails related to your college applications. Set up the student portals. and then bookmark them on your browser in one place. Have all those application portals there, and at least once a week, have a standard time, like once a week on the weekend or whatever day is a good day for you. Log into every one of those portals. Anything new, anything new, anything new, so that you stay on top of things and you don't miss important communications. Because that's how they're going to communicate, via email and on the portals. So you need to be on top of that so that you don't miss out on those important communications, because that's where they'll tell you we need more stuff, or congratulations, you've been offered admission, or you've been offered admission and now here's your financial award letter. That's how they're going to communicate with you. So the last thing I want to share with you is all of the counselors, we have set up our appointment calendars on a service known as Sign Up Genius. So whoever your counselor is, you go to our staff page. I'm going to take you to mine. And you'll find the little Sign Up Genius link. Click on the icon. And there are all of my appointments. You pick a date and a time, sign up, provide your email. I get an email confirming you've signed up for that appointment. I put it on my calendar. It will send you a reminder 2 days before the appointment. This is where you have to be responsible adults. As responsible adults, I'm not sending you call slips. Hey, remember, we've got our college meeting today. No, you're an adult. You signed up for an appointment, you'll get a reminder, you need to show up. Also, I basically have 3 different time frames I built my appointments. One is predominantly at lunchtime, one is predominantly during 5th or 6th period, and one is predominantly after 3 o'clock. If you sign up for one of those appointments that's in 5th or 6th, you need to have a free period. I'm not calling you out of class to have these appointments. Now, if you sign up for a lunchtime appointment and it bleeds a little bit into 5th or 6th, that's not a big deal. But don't sign up for one of these 1 o'clock time frames if you have a 5th or 6th, or at least look on the school calendar to say, wait, on this day, I have a free 5th. Is that a 5th period free for me? Good, then I can sign up for that. But if it's not, it's a 2, 4, 6 day, I shouldn't be signing up for a 1 o'clock appointment. So that's how you set up your appointments. Please come prepared to those meetings with your Navient tasks done. Bring all of the login credentials for everything you've created, your applications, your College Board, your SAT, your ACT accounts, because we may need to log into those to verify information. And then what we said to the parents last night is talk to your parents, find out what questions and concerns you have, and bring a laundry list of questions with you to the meeting. We'll get those resolved. I've allocated an hour and a half for every one of my meetings. It may not take that long, but I'm willing to give a very significant commitment of time to really fine-tune your applications and give you good feedback in the process. So, thank you very much. Look forward to this year. It's a roller coaster, but it will be fun.